Hello everybody, it's Leslie from Your Yummy Tummy Chef, and today we're going to be making banana bread. So for this banana bread we are going to be needing a couple of very ripe bananas, smashed. It should equal about a cup. Softened butter, about a quarter cup of that. A smidge of nutmeg. A half a teaspoon of almond flavor, pure if you can get it, a cup of sugar, 2 1/4 cups of flour, a cup of sour cream, yes, I did say sour cream, and you need baking soda and baking powder. So let's get started. Okay. To get started, we need to preheat our oven at 350, and we need to grease and flour a loaf pan that's 9 by 5. So I wanted to show you how you butter and flour or grease and flour your loaf pan, especially when you're using the flour. So I've already put the butter inside the loaf pan, as you can see. Actually, I cheated a little bit. By putting a spray flour combination into the loaf pan. But just imagine that this is butter that's in there instead of the spray. And inside here you can see that there's the flour. Can you see that? All right, so what you're doing is you're going to take that flour and you're going to just kind of shake it around so that it covers like all aspects. Normally you do this like over the sink, so you don't want to get any flour like on your floor, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing. And you just kind of go around and just keep on doing that until you cover all the walls and the floor of your baking pan. The only part I didn't get was this over here. And I'd say this is like 2 tablespoons of flour. This ensures that your banana bread is not going to get stuck in there when it's finished baking. So you can get it out really, really easily. Okay, that's how we do that. Okay, we're going to get started mixing all the ingredients together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cream the butter and the sugar. For the amount of butter, we're putting in a 1/4 cup of butter, which is a half a stick. That goes in there, and a cup of sugar. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just cream the butter. This is a very large mixing bowl. And when I see that all of it is just kind of like totally mushed up, then we add our sugar. Okay, here is a cup of sugar. I'm going to throw that in there. You can use whatever kind of sugar you want. I used plain old white sugar. So we're going to get started again. I'm just putting it on kind of a medium speed, not a high speed, just initially. I'm putting it on a bit of a higher speed now. Occasionally you have to stop and just get some of the stuff off the beater, so that's what I'm going to do at the moment. Lowering my bowl, and you can see some of it's on here. So I'm just going to kind of like do this and get some of this butter off of here. You just want to make sure all of it gets incorporated. It will eventually. Anyway, there it goes. Up the bowl goes. So you can see it's starting to get nicely incorporated. It still looks kind of granular, but don't worry, it's going to change. And I think we're just getting to the point where that's about it. Okay, next we're going to add our sour cream, which is a cup of sour cream, and 2 eggs, which should be at room temperature. Whenever you're baking, it's always best to have your eggs at room temperature. So let's get that. And then after we're done with that, then we're going to add bananas, and we're going to add all the rest of the dry ingredients. So let's get going. So I'm adding, let me lower this down. This happens to be an 8-ounce container of sour cream. I'm using light sour cream, not that it's going to make that much of a difference, but it'll lower the fat content of this. When you're making banana bread, you have to have some kind of moisture to it. Otherwise, it's going to be dry as anything and very crumbly. Okay, there's that. I'm just going to do one ingredient at a time until we get to the dry ingredients. So, I smell the sour cream. Okay, can you see it's getting kind of gloppy? That's a good thing. Now we're going to add our eggs. Sometimes it's a good idea to scramble these eggs, mix them up before you put them in, but it's okay. The reason why you would scramble them is because that way there wouldn't be any yolk and it would be consistent. So here I'm going to go on high speed because I want those yolks to break. Make sure that gets all incorporated. And that's good. Now I'm going to lower this mixer. Incidentally, you don't necessarily have to use a table mixer. You can use a bowl, a hand mixer. You can use your hand with a spoon. It doesn't really matter, but I'm using this for the sake of time and also convenience. But you're more than welcome to use whatever you want. I just have to move this. Okay. As you can see, I mashed it up using a fork. This is 2 very ripe bananas that I'm putting in here. And I'm just going to toss it in. Usually it's pretty easy to get out of the bowl. It just kind of slides right out. I wish everything was as easy as this in life, right? Wouldn't that be great if everything was just so easy and worked out so well? But life is funny, right? Okay, so we're going to pull this back up. And I'm not going to put this on high speed for right this second. Because you know what? I don't want to have this, like, I didn't mash this to smithereens. I left a little bit of some whole banana pieces in there. So not all of it was smashed. So I'm going to put in my flour. And when you're putting flour in, you don't want to dump the whole thing in at one time, because if you do, you're going to get a cloud of flour in your face. And then, well, you don't want that, because you'll look really, really funny when you go out. Maybe for Halloween you would have been like that because you look like a ghost. Okay, so now I'm going to lower this again, and I'm just going to add increments. Remember, this is 2 1/4 cups of flour, so a little bit at a time. And we also don't want the mixer to go at a high speed, because that will also cause a cloud of flour. So we're just going to go very low. As you can see, it's not doing any kind of damage to the atmosphere. I'm going to go a little bit more. We do want to get some of the lumpiness out from the flour. And we don't want to have to bite into a piece of banana bread with a clump of flour in there. Stopping, and I'm going to put the rest of the flour, well, some more of the flour in. of those bowls that's kind of difficult to get flour. I wasn't thinking that way when I first started this. Okay, here we go again. Again, very slowly. Do you see that flour just pop right out of there? It's starting to look a little bit more like dough. I'm also going to add my baking powder and my baking soda. And I'm going to just top in, literally just a smidgen of salt. Sometimes banana bread needs a little bit of salt. It's sort of like adding salt to caramel. Just gives it that little zing. I also am going to add a little bit of nutmeg, which I've actually, like I said, you just want to put in like a teeny amount. See that? Done. And we're going to keep on going with this. One more time. You can see it's getting kind of doughy in there, but that's okay. You add the baking soda and the baking powder so that it leavens the dough. It rises. So even though it may not look like it's a lot, when it goes into the loaf pan, it will get higher in the loaf pan as it bakes. Now, the higher you mix, the higher speed that you use to mix the bread with makes it a little fluffy too. But I think this looks pretty good. So I'm just going to stop right there. And I'm going to lower my bowl. I'm going to take this out. And then I'm going to take my handy dandy spatula from out of my drawer here, if I can find it, which I can't. So I'll use the other spatula to just get all of this nice doughy stuff off of here, off the beater. There's quite a bit of it. And I want to tell you, the way this smells, it smells divine. Oh, I forgot one ingredient. Oh my goodness. I have to put this back up. I forgot to put in, this is my secret ingredient, which is not going to be so secret anymore when I tell you what it is. It's a little bit of almond extract. And I'm just going to put like a quarter of a teaspoon actually in there. This is normally not in banana bread, but it's in my banana bread. And when you're finished with it and it comes out of the oven, you will see why it's so good to have that little bit in there. I can smell it. It's just so divine. Okay, down it goes. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to move this away. Yeah, those things are not light. So I'm just going to stop this for a minute while I clean up this beater, and then we'll take it from there. I'm tossing in my chocolate chips. Oops, a couple more. I'm just going to fold this in. A lot of chocolate chips. But that's what makes this banana bread special. This is my own invention, incidentally, of banana bread. I'm going to also add something a little bit even more special when this goes into the pan. And I will definitely show you what that is. I'm going to pour this in to this loaf pan that's already been pre-prepared with grease, which I used butter. You can use oil, you can use whatever, margarine, you can use Crisco, although I wouldn't recommend that. Butter's your best bet. Kind of gives it a nice rich taste in general. Butter is always better. Whoops, get in there. All right, we almost got everything out of here. If you're the sort of person that likes to lick the bowl, this would be okay. Just be wary of the fact that there is raw eggs in here. You'll have to be satisfied with the way it smells. But I can tell you, when you do taste a dough and it tastes good, that is the secret to knowing how it's going to taste. Somewhat how it's going to taste when you actually have it in your mouth. So I'm getting a little spoon here to just get this stuff off of this spatula. And then I'm going to show you the secret ingredient that I'm going to use for this. So I'm just going to, I know that sounds loud, but I'm going to give it a little bit of shaking up just so that it levels out. You'll start to see it's leveling out. And you can see that it's not sticking to the sides, which is also very good. Okay, here's my special ingredient. It's raspberry sauce that I just made plain old raspberry sauce from raspberries, and I just put them into a strainer and I pulverized them, and what was left was this. So you can see this. So I'm just gonna drizzle this a little bit here and there and there. That's it. And not make a mess. Then I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna do like a swirly thing. So we have a little bit of raspberry and chocolate chips and banana flavoring in there. Oh my, won't this be good? And there it is, ready to go into the oven, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, I'm going to put this into the oven. It's at 350. You're going to bake it for an hour. And when you insert a toothpick or a cake tester and it comes out clean, then you're good. Okay, let's test this baby and see what it's like. I opened the oven and I pulled this out and I'm putting this in and I'm pulling it out. Check it out. It is clean as a whistle, if that's the saying that goes with it. There is nothing, no gook on it, nothing. It's perfectly clean. So that means it is ready to be taken out. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So here we go. The finished product is on the cooling rack. And when it's finally cooled down, what you're going to do is just take a knife and kind of go around the rim, around the edge there, into the pot, into the loaf pan. And like I said, this has to cool down because if you do it when it's hot, it's going to fall apart when you make the loaf pan upside down and it comes out. You know what I mean, right? Okay. So there it is. Beautiful finished product. And you can see I have that raspberry. It's kind of like swirled around on top. And it's going to be delicious. I can't wait to try this, baby. Okay, we are at the end of our cooking show, and here it is, this beautiful banana bread with a raspberry swirl, and I can see little bits of chocolate chips in there. Anyhow, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to your Yummy Tummy Chef.